Well, hey there, and welcome to the Animal Donut Channel. I'm Jeff Luke. I'm a professional photographer and the author of Stock Market Intelligence and Crush It with ETFs. Today, I am going to teach you why you do not need to own a lot of stocks to succeed as an investor. This quote is by Charlie Munger, one of the greatest investors of all time. And he says, you don't need to own a lot of things to be rich. And I want to talk with you about what this means. Now, Charlie Munger, he's Warren Buffett's partner at Berkshire Hathaway. One of the real interesting things about the way that Charlie invests, and also Warren, at least when they were starting out, is they didn't run a very diversified portfolio. And Munger says basically the Mungers have three stocks. So they own stocks in Berkshire Hathaway, they own stock of Costco, and they own stock in Li Lu, his partnership. He's a Chinese investor. But three stocks, that's it, just three things. So even though a lot of the kind of common belief about investing is you have to own a little bit of everything and have this incredible diversification, what Munger says is if you truly understand what you're doing, you don't need to own a lot of different things. Three things is plenty. The question you want to ask is why? Why is owning three things plenty for an investor? And it all comes down to having a long attention span. Now think about that for a sec. Why is having a long attention span helpful to you if you want to be a great investor? Ask this question. Why? Think about it. The answer is because with a long attention span, you can keep your mind on a game or on some activity for a long time until you've solved it. Just to bring this back to where we are in our, there's so many distractions between our phones, computers, all the media we consume. There's constantly something competing for our attention, and it's hard to really think about something, to really understand, get a deeper understanding, because we're constantly just sort of pulled away from whatever we're doing by alerts or phone calls or emails, text messages, you name it. So a long attention span gives you the ability to take your time and focus and solve a problem. And that is a hugely desirable quality because you're more likely to get the right answer. Now think about that. In markets, you're competing against all of these other investors. You have literally thousands of stocks out there available, and for every person who buys a stock, somebody has to sell it, and one of you has to be right. So the more you can use this long attention span to focus your thinking, the greater your chances are that you will be right. And getting the right answer means a lot in investing. You don't have to do it that many times to have a phenomenal investing career. As Charlie Munger said, you only have to do it 3 times, 3 stocks. With the long attention span and being right 3 times, that's enough for a phenomenal investment career. If you think deeply and hard about a subject for a long time, you'll get that right answer. I want to just go over the stocks that I bought for my investment portfolio at the start of 2022. Viva Systems is the first, IQVIA Holdings, Nvidia, Thermo Fisher, and Adobe. 5 stocks. Now I thought that was a concentrated portfolio. When I decided to make a video about that, I thought, wow, this is really concentrated. A lot of people will probably think that's nowhere near enough stocks, but when you look at Mr. Munger, 3 is enough for him. 3 excellent decisions. So I think 5 is more than enough. These may seem like only a few, but if they're the right kinds of decisions, I don't need to have more. And if you think about this, if you had a list of 30 stocks, and a lot of people have portfolios of way more than 30, but if you had 30, then why would you put more money into your 30th best idea or best idea number 27 or 24 if your best number 1 or number 2 or number 3 exist? It's almost foolish to put money into your 30th best idea. So if you think of it that way, every investment is basically comparing 2 options and going with the one that's best. So you really want to stick with that short list of the few best stocks rather than have way too many stocks to consider and not really understanding any of those companies very well. Compared to Munger's 3 stocks, my 5 are a lot. So how do you think hard and figure out the right stock and the right price? Well, you know, you can't find truth in the market. The market, you know, if you try to pay attention to the stock prices and they're just bouncing around, you know, and you're hoping that the market's going to tell you something just by bouncing around, that's not how I invest. The market's there to serve you by giving you the price that you want for a stock that you want to buy, but there's nothing that you can learn. The market's not there to instruct you, and there's really nothing that you can learn from all the random bouncing around of stock prices. So what you need is you need to get a view of what the intrinsic value is of the stock that you want to buy, and only buy the stock when it's worth more than you're paying. So you look at the stock, okay? And you decide through all of your study and your research and your thoughtfulness and your analysis that that stock is worth $70 a share, right? Well, you do that first. You come up with your intrinsic value number, and then you look at the stock price. You don't buy it if it's more than 70, and hopefully you don't even buy it when it's at 70. You want a discount. So when that stock price gets to 50 or 45 or $40, that's where you want to buy it. If it's not there yet, be patient. I'm making a long-term investment by waiting for something to be underpriced. Okay, once the price is low enough and you're getting this much value for this much price, that's when you make your purchase, okay? When the price is low enough, then you buy it. So of the 5 stocks that I have purchased for 2022 for my portfolio, Viva Systems, I estimate, is discounted about 15%. Adobe Systems is about 10% cheaper than the value that I get for the company. And IQVIA does not even have a discount. I would say that is fairly valued. You're not getting a discount. So you could say, well, why, you know, if what you want is a big discount, why accept 15% or 10% or no discount? And the answer is when stock prices are high, it's very hard to find cheap stocks to get really good deals. It seems to me, it feels as though the prices being quoted right now are pretty high relative to the values of what we're buying. However, I like these 3 compared to the other 2 stocks that I bought. I think these are fantastic companies, but I think they're actually overpriced. Nvidia may be about 50% too expensive, and Thermo Fisher might be about 30% too expensive. So you might say, well, why would I even buy them if I already know that I'm paying too much? That is a very good question. I will say this, they're great companies, and I have owned them before in another portfolio, and they have done very well. And one thing that I try to remind myself of constantly is when you have a great performing stock, it's a really good idea to buy more of it. And the reason for this is you want to water your flowers and pass over the weeds, you know? And what a lot of people do, I think, is they get these stocks that do well and then they sell them. And rather than letting those stocks keep on growing, they kind of get rid of it and they just stop that compounding effect. So I want to keep these stocks going in my portfolio. I already own some. I'm not selling them, but I want to add more, even though it seems to me that the price is a little bit high. I figure these stocks being a little bit expensive is balanced out by these here being slightly discounted. Ideally, you want to wait. You want to just sit around and do nothing until you can get a 30% or a 40% or even a 50% discount. And it happens. It doesn't happen every year. It doesn't happen every month. But if you're patient, the natural vicissitudes of the stock market, prices go up, prices go down. Just as prices for a couple of those stocks I mentioned seem about 20% or 50% too high, there will be a time when they're 20, 30, 40, 50% too low. That is ideally when you want to buy. Today's prices make it hard to find discounts, but be patient. Eventually they appear. So, the take-home lessons from today's video. Number one, you can get ahead. You can do really well with just 3 stocks. Number two, buy stocks when they're worth more than you're paying, okay? It's very simple, but you really want to buy things at a discount. It makes a lot of sense when you're buying stocks to pay less than the value that you are receiving. And number three, the money is made in the waiting. This information, I hope it's valuable to you. Please tell your friends about this channel. If you haven't yet, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. And I hope to see you in the next video.